Meet Dave of Delusions of Grandeur, actor, producer, and director of films like Tales of the Forgotten. He has come to assemble a team of freaks, geeks, and even worse, film nerds, to discuss films ranging from mainstream to downright crazy. There is Tammy, car enthusiast, and Dave's fiance, Dustin, reptile expert and overall horror collector, Jake, environmentalist and fine art film critic, and finally Brandon, a therapist with a love of film that can only be seen as insanity. Together under Dave's leadership, they are Inside Movies Galore. Enjoy the show. Enjoy the show.
All right, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another exciting film journey here on Inside Movies Galore. I am one of your hosts, but today we are starting a new month, and since some of us haven't seen Clerks before, we're doing Clerks again. Several years later, I believe our good friend Katie, back when we first discussed it, chose it, and now Brandon has.
We also did it very recently. What was it, like within the last 2 years?
Well,
I wasn't on when Katie would have done it.
Oh no, this was during that time.
Yeah, this was during that time.
You were there.
I swear this was more recent than that.
But yeah, because Katie and Dane were with us, and I think Forrest maybe as well.
Right.
I have to look at the original video, but I'm almost 100% Katie did this one.
I don't know if I was on yet, because I don't remember seeing this before.
Yeah. Okay.
No, definitely not then.
I know we've done the cartoon.
We did that in June.
Yeah, we've done the whatever 12 episodes of cartoon on here, so that wasn't too long ago.
Actually, yeah, I still don't remember doing it as far back as Katie, but I know Tusk
years ago.
I know Tusk was Dane's option, so maybe it was a while back.
Well, we had Mo on for it.
Yep, that I do remember.
Yeah, 5 years ago was a while back.
Yeah,
I know.
It's been a while, but so we're revisiting Clerks. It's probably good that we do because it's a great independent film, and I know a lot of people that that I was growing up with in high school or whatnot, who were like fanatical about this movie, like spot on. They would actually just quote it bit by bit, and that to me is like the kind of what Kevin Smith's films are kind of about. They're so damn quotable, But in any case, I'm going to hand this over to you, Brandon, so that we can see where we go with this film.
And normally I try to do something spooky for the October month, but since it's the first week, we can go with the least amount of spookiness. And I did this, of course, because next month we are doing a Clerks month, which we started with in June with the Clerks animated series and Dogma, and then, of course, in November with Clerks 2 and 3 and Jay and Silent Bob's, both of those movies. And then I realized that not everybody in the group had seen Clerks when we did the animated, and I was like, well, we cannot do that. We can't do a whole Clerks month and then not know what freaking Clerks is, the original one. So here we are.
Mm-hmm.
Clerks is a 1994 movie by Kevin Smith, his first feature film featuring many actors that we will see later on in the day, is like Brian O'Halloran, Jeff Anderson, and Marilyn Gigliotti. And if y'all hear some kitty cats or I get kicked off, it's because I have kittens here that I'm sitting with, and they are very active little guys. They have been alternating from cuddling up to running around, and only they don't care if they run on top of my computer. But essentially, this is about a bunch of really two people who run the Quick Stop convenience store and the movie store that is right next to it, the movie rental place, which many people may not even recognize what that is these days. And the various things that they get to. This is kind of one of those slice of life type comedies that is a dark comedy. It's inspired other movies of its type, like Waiting and so on. And it is really a classic. And the fact that it started Kevin Smith's career, really and truly, because that student film didn't. So this one's definitely worth talking about because of its importance. But it's not about me. It's about who has seen it and y'all's opinions as well. So we'll start with you, Tammy, because I think you're the only one here who hasn't seen it before. What was your first impression?
Well, I did watch the cartoon stuff that we did. So I kind of knew the characters because I had watched the cartoon stuff that we just did not that long ago. So, they're funny. I mean, I can relate a little bit to, I hate remembering the names. Dante.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, I can relate a little bit to Dante because I myself did run a gas station. And I, not just that job, but other jobs since then, it seemed like at times I was the only one that showed up to work and the only one that cared about having a job and the only one that could be relied upon, and it's the only one that they seem to call.
Not even supposed to be here today.
Yeah, I've said that.
I've had those days.
Even my last job that I just left, there was plenty of days that I wasn't supposed to be here today. David knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But when I ran the gas station, I was assistant manager. So I got paid for everything I worked, and my manager got paid salary. So who do you think got stuck at the gas station all the time?
Mm-hmm.
And I got teased by regular customers all the time. Do you have a cot in the back? Because I was always there. So in some ways I can sympathize with Dante, His friend, on the other hand, I would have strangled within about 5 minutes of knowing him. If I had a friend like that.
Oh, yeah, Randall.
Yes. But, yeah, I thought it was funny, definitely, there's definitely scenes that are really kind of off the wall, but I suppose in their world, these things could actually happen. So,
well, it's not quite as off the wall as the cartoon was, but
right.
Yeah, the
it's
cartoon was really off the wall, but
but I will say that it is a lot raunchier than the cartoon as well. So,
but is it?
It was fun though. I mean, I didn't know what to expect because you guys were always talking about it, and David has talked about it many a times, And and then after we had the cartoon thing, I heard more and more about it. So now I'm glad I saw it, because now I feel like I'm in the loop a little bit here instead of out.
Well, and I haven't seen the other ones myself after this. I've seen the cartoon quite a bit. I've seen Clerks at least 5 times myself. So,
but I had fun.
Oh, just as a side note before I forget, we also have another star there, the cat, whose name does fluctuate throughout the series, but they did mention the cat's real name when he was first mentioned, which is Lennon's tomb.
Right.
Which is weird. Okay, so the cat's real name is mentioned in the extended cut, but I don't think it's mentioned in the theatrical cut.
No.
What's it called?
Lennon's tomb is the real name of the cat.
Yeah, I think in the theatrical cut he just said annoying customer, right?
Yeah, he just said annoying customer. In the long cut, they gave him several names.
Yeah, it was Lennon's tomb, annoying customer, and I think peptic ulcer was the third.
Because it was like people would always ask what the cat's name was, and they would just use it as you just giving a different one depending on how you felt. They were using it as a running joke, but decided not to run with it. But Dave, you were already talking about this, so obviously not your first time watching Clerks. So what are your impressions with it, or what were your first impressions back in the day?
Well, I wasn't as gung-ho as everyone that was around me at the time was about it, but I do understand the concept of, being the only one to be relied on, having to be there when you don't really want to be, and it's your day off. Those concepts I do understand. Now, I did know someone who actually who actually worked at a porn shop. A video porn shop, which closed down now, but I seem to remember him making quite a few stories about things that happened while he was there too. So it was definitely interesting, and he kind of reminded me of Randall just a little bit. So,
well, this job would be great if it wasn't for the fucking customer.
Now, Randall is the perfect example of someone who should not be employed at all.
Huh.
And Randall, in this day and age, none of his shit would fly in reality. But
it depends on where he's working.
Yeah, that's true. There are certain places
nowadays he would actually have a better shot at landing the job.
Well, yeah, because the market is so messed up employment-wise. Usually, depends on where, but yeah. Because I've had some people who acted just like Randall, managed to keep their jobs perfectly fine.
Yeah.
He would probably fit in if it was like off of a college campus area or something like that.
That may be. I could see that. But or like in a mall type setting.
Well, that's Kevin Smith's second movie.
But when I first saw this, I wanted to see it because of what everybody was saying about it. The fact that it was independent, shot on a low budget, and it was so much like reality to some people. It was pathetic, So a lot of working class people actually really liked this movie, because they could relate, There was a lot of things that they could relate to. Like, I mean, you don't really see too often a guy inciting a mob just to sell gum. You know, but
Yes, but you do sometimes see people.
soliciting.
Yes, exactly.
And unfortunately, it's against the law. But you can't really, when you're in that kind of a setting, you can't really tell them to go because they won't go. You know, so in some cases, and if you call the cops too many times, your boss could get you in trouble. You know, so in those kind of settings, so it's kind of like walking a two-edged sword. Unfortunately, Dante kind of just plays it safe and just allows customers to do whatever the fuck they want and doesn't stand up for the store, even though he's there loyally, you know. But I enjoy the film for what it is. I don't want to say the whole entire thing. There are some conversations that him and Randall have that are funny. I think Randall gets him in more trouble than he lets on. That Dante should actually kick his ass to the curb for. And just find a new bestie. But I mean, half the people that he brings around tell Dante that they hate him. You know, so. But I enjoy it. There are people exactly like these guys out there, and there are situations exactly like this out there. So.
Yeah, that's exactly why it did have such a major appeal, because it does speak to so many people of, oh, I know people just like this.
Right.
Was this your first Kevin Smith film, Dave?
That I saw?
Yeah, that you'd seen.
No, it was not my first that I had seen. I believe I got into Kevin Smith more through Mallrat and Chasing Amy.
All right.
First, and then I went back and when I picked up my copy of Clerks, I finally saw it for the first time. But
what about you? What about you, Tammy? Was it your first Kevin Smith's film, or have you seen other films by him?
I don't know, David.
Well, do you remember Tusk?
Yes.
Oh yeah, we did watch Tusk together.
And we did watch Dogma just a couple months ago.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
So yeah, it would definitely not be your first of you. Yeah.
There's Clerks. There's Clerks 2. There's Clerks 3.
Oh,
there is Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. There's Jay and Silent Bob. What was it? Reloaded?
No,
I've watched whatever David's watched.
We did do Mallrats on the channel. Did you watch that with us?
We did that on the Delusions channel.
I was part of that discussion, and I don't usually do Delusions discussions.
Well, that was when we were doing 2 films per. Remember when we were doing 2 a week?
Yep.
Right.
I think that was it, because I can't find Mallrats on.
I remember when we used to do 2 movies a night.
Yeah. Well,
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, maybe.
Yep, we did it on Delusions of Grandeur.
Oh, okay. I'd forgotten I was doing that. Okay.
Yeah, that was with Dane, Forrest. Actually, Dave was not on for that one.
Really?
I was probably sick.
Yeah. It was you, me, Dane, and Forrest. That was an odd combo.
Interesting.
But yeah, I was just curious. But so yeah,
I'm not sick often, so when I am sick, I tend to try to. I tend to try to do it on a film that I know I won't regret it.
Well, hopefully I won't have any of them problems anymore now that I have my new job. So.
Oh yeah, and for the most part, Kevin Smith stuff is decent. So, well, let's go with you, Jake. I know this was not your first Kevin Smith film, but and it's probably not your first time watching this either, I'm going to wager.
No, as I said before, I'm pretty sure my first Kevin Smith movie was Dogma, and that was the one I saw in theaters. Probably might be the only one I saw in theaters, one of the only ones. And as I said, I definitely remember discussing this one on the channel. I just obviously forgot when, because it has been, oh, let's just say I'm getting old. But this was one that, if memory serves, I'm almost sure, to points that have already been made. This is one of the movies. This one, Mallrats to a degree, definitely Waiting, definitely, certain shows like The Office or Working or whatever, that to people who have seen them, Office Space, obviously, to people who have seen them, who have ever worked a job in their lives, they hit home. And like, it's, I will say, as raw and rough around the edges as Clerks is, it is one of Kevin Smith's best movies. And one of the reasons why is because I would say it's probably, well, it's weird. He was a first-time filmmaker, and there is a lot of pretension in the way he does it. Like the title cards are all like $20 words, some of which I don't know, and I'm an English major.
Well, he's in film school.
Well, exactly. But on the other hand, despite the pretensions of the craft, when it comes to the movie itself, it is one of his most honest, straightforward movies. It really does speak to the working experience. And again, I challenge anyone who has worked in customer service, who has never agreed with Randall's statement, this would be a great job if it wasn't for the fucking customers. I have agreed with that statement so many times over the years.
I hear you. I've agreed with that statement many a times. I'd have to say the one that was the most challenging out of all of my customer service jobs was when I worked at the casino.
Oh, that does sound like it'd be rough.
Because the area that I worked in was, it was called the Firekeepers because I worked at Potawatomi.
Uh-huh.
And the Firekeepers is what made the whole place basically run. Okay? Mm-hmm. The customers came up to me to set up their accounts, to check on their accounts, to get the things on their accounts, and to bitch about all the stuff they didn't get.
Yeah.
The place did not, even when COVID hit, they could have closed. They closed this area. They closed that area. They could not close the Firekeepers because the Firekeepers is what kept the place running.
Mm-hmm.
So the most challenging customer service job I ever had was that, because I'll tell you what, you could have this little lady come up and think you're going to have a really, okay, I'll help you out, and she would bitch you out and everything else, and you could have somebody come up that looks like a total complete gangster, and you think, oh boy, here we go, and they were the nicest person in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, I swear to God, I learned really, really, really quickly with that job, do not judge a book by its cover. Oh boy.
Yeah. Yeah, and anytime you're dealing with money, that gets sticky pretty quickly.
In a casino, though, you got everything and everybody.
Yeah.
You've got people that have money. You got people that don't have money. You got people that look like they have money. And you got people that don't look like they got money. And you got people from every single walk of life, every single nationality, every single everything in a casino.
Mm-hmm.
So you have no idea what you're going to get the minute somebody comes in front of you.
Right.
So yes, that was the most challenging job I think I've ever had. The easiest job I ever had with customers was bartending, because you know what? If you pissed me off, I could tell you. And nobody was going to yell at me either.
Yeah, I would say, well, for me, bartending was very difficult. And part of the reason is you got to keep so many balls in the air. It's, you can't be scatterbrained like I am and be a successful bartender.
I loved bartending because all the years of biting my tongue and being
Yeah.
the nice person, and the customer's always right, and doing everything by everything you're supposed to, and taking care of the customer and everything. If somebody pissed me off when I bartended, I'd get the hell out of my bar. There's the door, and I don't have to be nice.
Well,
And I don't. And my boss is not going to yell at me for yelling at you.
one of the if I'm not much mistaken, where I first became aware of Clerks, before I finally saw it, like I think I I saw Dogma my freshman year in college, but I think I had already heard about Clerks and Mallrats at work here in Richmond, working in a fish store. What's up? Working in a fish store, and the a couple things about that. The running gag about the cigarettes in this movie, which does have a couple of good payoff moments, but the running gag with the cigarettes, again, most jobs you're going to have your own cigarettes, and in the fish store there were two of them. There were Fitas and there were Bettas. Especially when that goddamn War and Peace fad was going on. We went through so many Bettas, it was insane. And I felt like, and at that point I had seen Clerks, and I felt like that was like the guys coming, you got any cigarettes? It was like that. You know, you got any Bettas? I want to do that War and Peace out. You got, it's like, no. But we also, and I think I've mentioned this before, on the channel and almost certainly on our Clerks discussion, but we had a little comic strip on our time card, above our time board, Dogbert's Rules of Management. Number one, the customer is always right. Number two, they must be punished for their arrogance. And I feel like that is probably Randall's motto as a customer service representative. And I will say, when I was young, Randall was kind of a hero of mine. Now he's such an asshole. I can't look at him any other way. He's just an asshole. But there are times that I'm like, I wish I had the freedom to be Randall for just a minute or two. I will admit,
because Randall has no filter.
Exactly. And there are people with no filter who I have major issues with, and I feel like a lot of the shit that's going on right now has to do with people who lack filters. But I feel the appeal to being able to do that once in a while. And more often, I hate to admit it, more often I'm much closer to Dante. And yes, I have had as well my I'm not even supposed to be here today days.
My best friend of like 30 years basically does not have a filter. So I always tell everybody that Scott is like an acquired taste.
Right. See, unfortunately, I work in a job where I have to have not just a filter. At times, it feels like a muzzle. And that's so rough sometimes. But whatever, it's
when I worked at Paddle, basically, I felt like I had to have a muzzle. Okay, yeah. I mean, they, management was just they were like sharks watching you, waiting for you to make a mistake, and and the people, made it so hard to not make a mistake,
Right.
That's why I said that had to be my worst customer service experience working in that casino.
Right.
Everything else that I've had dealing with customers has been, to me, has been easy, compared to that.
And I should back up and mention that I often genuinely love customer service. It just, it can be a mixed bag. But
For the most part, I do to my new job. Okay.
Yeah.
The owner, my boss, and his girlfriend, they both, especially his girlfriend, she prefers to be in the back making all the product, and she loves it that I like to be the one out front and taking care of the customers and doing all the stocking up front. Because I asked her the other day, because last week was my first week, I'm like, are we supposed to switch off? Or I don't want to, I felt bad because I'm like, because she was the one making everything, and I'm like, am I supposed to come back here and do this and you go up front? She goes, I don't like dealing with the public that much, and I'm not very sociable. She goes, so if you like being out there and you like doing the stocking out there and taking care of them, she goes, have at it, because I'd rather stay back here. And I'm like, okay. I'm fine with that.
All right.
I just didn't want to, it was my first week. I didn't want to feel like I was stepped on anybody's toes or anything, I didn't want to make her feel like she was like stuck doing all the work in the back or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
I didn't know. But when I found out that she'd rather be back there, I was like, all right, fine with me.
Yeah, you find the people and you figure out how to work with them.
All right.
No, I had a great first week, so I'm looking forward to tomorrow.
Well, very good.
All right. So, anything else, Jacob?
I lost track of what I covered. I probably said most of it on the animated one anyway, so we can go ahead.
Well, I mean, as I said before, my first experience, we may even have watched it in the same theater, was Dogma. And then I found out about this film and other people saying, you got to watch this, you got to watch this. So I eventually did watch it, and I really did enjoy it. At first, I thought it was very pretentious and over the top. And, of course, the main reason for that was that, according to Kevin Smith, he had made it because he wasn't certain it was going to make it in the mainstream. So, like, well, at least I could do the college circuit if I use big words. So, I mean, there was that. So this time I watched the commentary and all this. And the commentary is made for the laser disc of the film, and it was made back when they were doing Mallrats. Now, it was probably was not a very good commentary. It was very lazy. Jason Mewes was drunk and passed out for most of the thing. You could only really hear Kevin Smith because everybody else was like off microphone when they were talking. It was pretty low, but you learned some stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, the movie itself, it took a while for it to grow on me. I really enjoyed some of it at first, but it took a while for it to grow on me, and now it's one of my favorite films, and I understand why it is for people. Some aspects of the film do not hold up to modern day, but it holds up reasonably well overall as a general rule. I mean, really all it is lines and a couple of semantics here and there. But most of that stuff can be forgiven by most people as slang of the day. So, most people.
There is definitely a lot of rough language in the film. That is for sure. I mean, that was something that, honestly, the first couple of Kevin Smith movies I saw, that took some getting used to for me because I wasn't really used to it.
Oh, yeah. The animated series was kept there. Originally, Clerks was given an NC-17 rating. And if you ever see the original cut, you understand why. But Kevin Smith managed to fight hard. And once they took it to the theaters and they made the cuts that they need to make, they were able to get it down to R, which was good. So, we'll go ahead and get started. So, Dante, of course, wakes up in his pile of clothes, this time just falling out of the closet as the boss is calling and saying, yeah, this dude called out, so I need you to come in. And Dante, being the wet blanket he is, rolls over and says, okay, I'll be there, but you've got to be out by noon, so because I've got a hockey game today. And the boss is like, yeah, sure. Which we find out later that was a mistake for him to agree to that. So he goes ahead and sets things up, gets his like coffee and does his thing. And it's done in a kind of coolish way. Like, the dude just gets up, he takes the other half of the sugar bowl that he has and puts his milk and coffee and stuff in it, drinks it, gets his keys and goes over to work. Does all these stuff to open the store, and that includes things like making the coffee. He does a pretty nasty trick for the papers. He ends up just getting one coin and taking the whole stack of papers and then putting them up on there,
and then getting the coin back anyway.
Yep, and then he goes over to the shutters, which people put gum in the locks, so he has to use shoe polish to put a big sign up saying, I assure you we're open, which
bunch of savages in this town.
I wouldn't have done that. I would have just left it like that and just said, well, owner should have gotten an open sign on the door.
Yeah. Wasn't there one?
There might have been.
I feel like there was.
A lot of the signage and stuff would change because they had to film at nights most of the times, because this is actually a legit functioning business that they are filming at.
Yeah.
And because they actually worked there, I think one of them did, they were able to get leverage from the boss to use that in the video store, which is why the Quick Stop and the video store's names are actually the names of the actual businesses. Mm-hmm. So a lot of stuff would change here and there. And that's the introduction of Dante. What are y'all's thoughts about Dante and his little start?
I think Dante is a pushover.
Yeah.
I think he's somebody that tries to please everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't please himself. Right. It's like he tries to please everybody, do what everybody wants, and then he doesn't have any time or thoughts to do what he wants. He just goes along with it, follows the rules, does this, does that, and unfortunately gets caught up in Randall's stuff by short accident, I guess. Just
Not your brother.
Because Randall's got a way of hooking him.
There are introverts and extroverts, and he is very much an introvert.
Oh, Dante frustrates the hell out of me, and if I really want to say it, over the years, though I did identify with him a lot when I was younger, I really don't like the character now.
I wouldn't say so much that Dante's an introvert, because he doesn't seem to have too much trouble dealing with people. And I mean, he not only has a girlfriend, he's had a string of girlfriends, which starts an argument with his current girlfriend, as a matter of fact. But his big issue, which I guess was basically summed up with his discussion with Randall later, where Randall says you need to get off the pot, is the two of them are almost opposites in the sense that Dante has a very, 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 very hard time actually knowing what it is he wants. And even if he thinks he does, he has a very hard time making decisions to get what he wants. Whereas Randall is almost the opposite. He tends to be like, this is what I want, and I'm going to go for it. Now, he sets very, very, very small goals. Randall is not shooting big.
was gonna say Randall has low standards.
It's very low standards, but he knows what he wants and he goes for it.
Yeah.
So it's like his quest to go to a good video store to get porn. That was a very low bar, but he went for it. Employee being on the clock being just a minor inconvenience in that case, But and I'll admit, yes, Dante frustrates the hell out of me because unfortunately his character does hit a little close to the bone for me.
Yeah.
He tries to be a decent guy, and he is mostly a decent guy, and he's someone you want to root for, but he's also so frustrating.
I agree with you. I mean, Dante, there's certain things of him that reminds me of me, especially when I was younger. Because when I was younger, I could easily get talked into the shenanigans that Randall pulls, but as I got older, I didn't, but I still got pulled into, like I said, even my last job. I'm not supposed to be here.
Yeah, Dante always reminded me of some of the worst parts of me back in those days. I'm better than I was back in then, but I was a lot like Dante back in the day, and I don't, except for the girlfriends. I did not have a string of girlfriends, but a lot of his worst qualities did remind me of myself back in those days. And sometimes when you get reminded like that, and the mirror doesn't look nice when you hold it up, you start to dislike the character.
Right. I tell you though, I wish I was that young again.
Yeah, dude, I'm sure that he probably wishes he was that young again, but he's doing pretty well for himself, so I guess that works.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, and I met him at GalaxyCon. He definitely is a lot older, but he's, Well,
I guess we can go ahead and start with the cigarette riot.
Mm-hmm.
So they just sitting there, just doing the morning thing. The guy goes in, like, buys some stuff. Like, can I finish my coffee here? And he's like, yeah, fine. And then the guy walks up, buys cigarettes, and he starts going off into an anti-cigarette tirade. Takes out like one of those blackened lungs, which apparently was a calf liver that they actually took outside, put it around in the dirt, and then put out cigarettes on it. And then shaped it sort of like a lung to make it look like it. But this also kicks off Jay and Silent Bob's first appearance anywhere, really.
Right.
With them, they are great. I mean,
interesting thing, you were talking about the commentaries and such. I remember I watched a lot of that stuff to prep for the last one. And Jason Mewes, Dave was talking about introverts and extroverts. According to Kevin Smith, Jason Mewes was very introverted and had to be kind of dragged through this movie because it was a whole new world for him. He wasn't an actor before this movie.
Well, I mean, they said that there were certain things like one of the dance scenes, they had to literally clear the parking lot of all people because he was too nervous to dance in front of that many people.
Right.
And the fact that he would spend 90% of the shoot stoned or drunk because he was so anxious, which is kind of sad because from what I've seen and what people tell me, those people I know that have met Jason Mewes, he's really a nice guy at heart. And he's always been a nice guy at heart. He just let the drugs and stuff get over on him for a while. But
I've actually been party to some of his gaming streams. He will actually answer you. So
like I said, he's a very nice guy. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Mo, tell you the truth, in a lot of ways. But he was but of course, then again, his part is interesting when you pair him up with Kevin Smith as Silent Bob, who says nothing and just is there.
Although when he does say something, it's normally something really fucking cool.
Well, in this movie, Bob does get exactly one line, and it is a pretty straightforward, semi-profound line. Brandon, you may remember hearing more on this than I did. I don't remember as much, but I remember them discussing it, and I see on IMDb they have it as the first trivia line that Kevin Smith originally cast himself as Randall, which is why Randall gets some of the best lines.
Yeah, he said he wrote all the best lines, and he realized that as a director, being in a part that large was way too much, and he was like, nah. So he just said, nope, we're casting Randall as somebody else. And he put himself in as Silent Bob because he knew as Silent Bob he could still have fun, still be in the film, but he didn't have to go do all the stuff with the directing and producing and all that stuff,
right?
And do this because Silent Bob was a relatively easy character to do,
right?
Though it says, if you look closely at my face, you will sometimes see the avid frustration and complete anger at Jason Mewes for fucking up the scene yet again.
I couldn't remember his reason, but that was it. Yeah, that he realized he bit off more than he had. Yeah. Which was a happy accident because I think most fans of these movies, Silent Bob is usually one of their favorite characters. And I think he did really good for himself with that.
Yeah, I think that worked out well at the end.
Right.
And of course, the profound line is carried over to almost every movie and then parodied in others like freaking Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and even Dogma was parodied. No ticket.
He gave a whole speech in Chasing Amy, and then that was what you were talking about in Dogma.
That was the peak.
What's up?
That was the peak Silent Bob line. But we also then go back to the to the whole cigarette thing, but this time the guy has already amassed an angry mob throwing cigarettes at Dante.
Yeah. Oh, I hate that guy.
Veronica comes to the rescue and then finds out as the guy tries to sneak out that he actually is representing the Gum Corporation. You notice
the rescue wielding a fire extinguisher.
Apparently the white stuff on that was a real fire extinguisher, and she really did fire it off at them. The white stuff is actually flour. But Veronica, of course, being Dante's girlfriend, and she's really she really wants the best for him. They have themselves a bit of an argument about because they do the whole how many people have you slept with and all that.
Before that, you gotta have the punchline to the whole Chuli's representative scene, which is you get all these people pelting him with cigarettes and all this stuff. And then Veronica does her thing and they all kind of slink out of the store. She catches the rep and, and then when it's all cleared up, this one guy who just been yelling and screaming with everyone else shuffles over to the counter, clears his throat. Pack of cigarettes.
Yeah. Dante angrily throws it at him. I do like how Dante takes his break by basically saying he just puts a bunch of loose change up there and says, take what you need, leave what you have. And it's like,
honesty through paranoia.
Yeah, that was something else. His girlfriend's like, well, how do you know that they won't just, take off?
And there was a sign in the very beginning, right up at the register. If you're going to steal from us, let us know.
Yes, I love that.
But
if you look at the movie,
if there's money out, they're less likely to steal if there's already money out there.
Well, theoretically, if there's money sitting around and no one's there, somebody's watching.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah.
But of course, they get into the argument about how many people slept with who. Yeah. And then it turned out, of course, she wasn't counting all the people that she went down on.
Yeah.
Which
he copped to sleeping with 12 girls. She gets angry, calls him a pig. And he's like, well, how about you? 3,
Then later on, 37.
which
When
becomes a running joke. And actually,
Randall doing these slurping noises when she goes.
when I met Brian O'Halloran at GalaxyCon and I had him sign my copy of Clerks X, he wrote, "I'm 37." I'm like, okay, that's cool. I like that.
But if she only did that, that's not actually having sex.
Well, that was her argument.
That was her argument, yes.
Yes, that was her argument, but in
Well, that would
reality,
be my argument too, unless you connect.
Well, and I don't disagree with you either, but this is one thing that is a through line of Kevin Smith's movies that I've always had mixed feelings about, and that is that some of his characters tend to have really weird, or what I would think are really weird hang-ups when it comes to sex. And sometimes it becomes a major plot point. And this definitely was an example of Dante was way too prudish on this one particular point, and it caused a lot of issues between them.
So, well, then of course it goes into the whole snowball discussion.
Oh yeah,
and
that's gross.
The guy
And that
was
was-
on and lived.
right. And am I remembering correctly? I do believe that Snowball was Scott Mosier, who is Kevin Smith's longtime friend and producing partner, and he was one of
producing partner with this particular film too.
yes, he was one of the major forces behind this movie. Yeah,
He played a lot of characters. One of the characters I didn't realize he played is apparently Scott Mosier actually also played the asshole at the hockey game, which looks nothing like the dude that he was portraying as Snowball.
right.
So it's kind of
Beautiful man.
We're gonna get, when we get to production, that's one of the things I will talk about is that they really tried to get every red cent out of this film, and they worked hard with it. The fact that you've got all these actors, and many of them are playing multiple roles throughout the film.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me of going back to drama class all over again, where we're just
well, you just gotta know that when you're directing, sometimes you're working with many hats.
Yeah.
And apparently that was the one. That scene right there was the one that originally got the ratings board to say it's at least an R right there. That scene.
Which scene?
The snowball thing.
Oh, okay. I think
this is 94 or 93 when he's probably applying. So yeah, keep that in mind too.
right.
But Veronica as a character, I think, is interesting. She's very much a go-getter character, that's for sure. And she wants him to go back to school, and she wants him to make change. And Dante is very resistant to change, and that is where their sticking point is a lot of the time.
Right.
But we also are fine. Oh, go. Anything else there before we get into Randall? Because we're getting ready to get to that introduction, which is great, by the way. Great.
I was going to say, and I don't know if this is too early to say because we haven't really looked at Caitlin yet, but I was just going to say, because of the whole Veronica versus Caitlin thing, that's a big part of Dante's thing. She's very different personality-wise from Caitlin. She's much more hard-charging. Caitlin seems much more chill. So there is definitely a major personality difference there. But yeah, she clearly loves Dante, but she clearly is frustrated as hell.
And Caitlin was this girl that Dante had dated for many years, but she just relentlessly cheated on him, which also shows how
the one that
Dante
got away.
That he was still chasing her, because then he's still hooking up with her or trying to hook up with her again behind Veronica's back, which is also one of the things I think I really dislike Dante for, because I agree with Silent Bob and his assumption, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Randall. So first off,
Randall's a complete jerk.
a guy comes into the store and he's pissed off because the rental store is not open. It's been 20 minutes, and it's supposed to have been open at 11, and he takes it out on Dante by being a total ass. And so I'm going to give this, and you tell him this stuff. And then, of course, one of my favorite scenes, which I'll admit, I would probably be right there with him. It's like, huh, left your keys. So he picks up the keys and just tosses it in the trash can. And that's like, you know what? I don't blame him. That dude was an asshole.
Yeah, it's like I've dealt with people like that, and it's like, yeah, I get that you're angry, and yeah, you do have a right to be upset because Randall really is kind of dicking around with his job and
entitled.
Yes, what I'm saying is like the guy had reason to be upset. He did not have a reason to come in hot and angry at someone who was not directly involved in what was going on.
But that's actually a recurrent thing, is that usually Dante, and one of the issues Dante has is he almost always ends up getting the flack for stuff that Randall does.
This is true.
Like selling cigarettes to a minor.
Yeah, this happens.
We haven't gotten to yet, but that's a fun.
So, and of course, we introduce Randall as this woman's waiting there, and she's like, "Yeah, I got this movie. I'm about to rent in this window, and it's mine." And he's like, "Oh, I bet you $20 that you're not going to rent that." It's like, "Oh, you're on, okay." And he goes to open the door.
Right. And then, of course, I think it's shortly after that, or shortly before. I think it's shortly after that.
Well, they talk about Caitlin, then they go to the scene that everybody thinks about, the whole happy scrappy scene. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, like, there's a scene, just a quick callback to the guy with the keys. He wanders back in front of the store. You seen any keys? And then, no time for love, Dr. Jones. Yeah. You got it. It's not a Kevin Smith movie without random movie references.
But yeah, then they talk for a while, and that's where you get the whole Caitlin Bree thing. And then you switch to Randall there, and then you have that scene, and it's one of those famous scenes.
Oh, yeah.
Randall is sitting there, and he's getting ready to put an order in. This woman comes up with her daughter and says, okay, she really wants this movie, Happy Scrappy. And he's like, okay, hold on, let me put in this order.
Happy Hero Pup.
And then he's
naming off the random sex titles.
Hold on, I'm on the line with the distributor. I'll see if they got it.
Well, you want to know what's funny is that, of course, first off, the guy who plays Randall, which his name is
Jeff Anderson.
Originally auditioned to play Jay,
right?
But on top of that, he really did not want to say those lines in front of that woman and her kid. So he literally, when you're looking at him saying the lines, he's actually saying it to just the camera, not to her. Mm-hmm. But the joke was on him because they basically had somebody else read the lines in front of her and the kid to get the reaction. So they got it anyway. Huh. But I don't know, that line, that is a famous one.
And I got to admit, though, he complained about how he worked in a shitty video store and how he needed to go to Big Choice to get his selections. But I'm like, if he had the freedom to order those titles without supervision from his boss, he could have turned that store into his own personal utopia.
I mean, I understand why, but we'll go to that when we get to it. But yeah, I understand why he wanted that.
Yeah.
Then, of course, we get to Berserker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which you got this kind of Russian guy that's visiting. He's I think a cousin of Silent Bob's.
Right.
And he wants to be a metal head. And of course, he's explaining this to the girl that's there. It's like, Olaf Berserker. And then, of course, he talks about some of this stuff. And, of course, later on in there, you can hear the metal song Berserker playing in the background. But the lines of it, like, you know, your love for me is like, my love for you is like a truck Berserker.
Would you like to me?
Yeah, it was. I mean,
Is it just me, or did that sound like an R-rated riff on a song you'd hear on Homestar Runner or something?
wouldn't surprise me, but it was a funny scene. What did y'all think of that scene?
It was fun. Yeah.
Well, anyone that has anything to do with Jay in front of the store, I was assuming was like someone he was buying drugs to pass around to other customers that he was helping get his own business going on in front, you know.
They use Jay and Silent Bob a lot for cutaways, for ways of keeping the movie moving without being just a long drawn out conversation.
Like I like it when Jay starts dancing and then suddenly Silent Bob starts dancing later in the cutscene. That is just to me. That just shows that both of them just have fun, regardless. You know.
Well,
I feel like that was
I
random.
thought that was funny too.
They are considered some of the most beloved characters that he has created, which is funny in that way. They are joke characters, and and Kevin Smith cannot get away from them, apparently.
And there are a couple of fun moments. Like I think it is maybe a little later in the movie, but there's a part where Dante ducks his head out of the store, following after someone or something like that, and he sees Jay. He's like, "How many times I tell you not to deal in front of the store?" And Jay's like, I'm not dealing." And then this guy walks up to him. "Hey, you carrying?" "Yeah, what you want?" Right away. It's like
oh my god, it is funny because he's dealing. He deals, of course, weed and then several other types of drugs as well. But we then move directly to the epic Star Wars conversation. A lot of this movie is conversations.
Yeah.
But it's done in a way, like I said, slice of life, which is that whole, it does feel like every day where they're having that conversation about, all of the contractors and stuff on the Death Star that got killed when it got blown up. Which, and then you had the roofer come in there and say, "Look, I understand that." He tells him about how he could have gotten the job doing roofing for this mob boss, and he said, "Nah." And then, the other roofer ended up dying in a hit, and he's like, "Look, sometimes you just got to understand. You're doing this work. You understand what you're getting into. And you got to understand the risks." I come on it from his side of the stand, but what did y'all think of the Star Wars situation?
I thought it was interesting. I'd never really thought about it until I heard that conversation. I'm like, Jade, Randall does have a point, but the roofer also has a point. I'm kind of inclined to fall somewhere in between. I feel like there are people, you only have so much freedom to allow your at the end of the day, money always wins. So if you need the job bad enough, there probably were a lot of contractors on the Death Star that needed the money and couldn't say no. But most of them were aware of what they were getting into. And so one could say they weren't fully innocent victims. And I guarantee you some of them were like, "Ooh, I get to work for the Empire," so some of them deserved it. But yeah.
Well, and I really think that when Randall gets there is when the movie picks up. Because you go into just various vignettes as you go through there. You got the Death Star. Tammy, Dave, did you have anything about the Death Star conversation?
I found it interesting, but I'm not that much of a Star Wars freak. Okay, I like the movies, but
I thought it was entertaining myself. I mean, the fact that it was a random conversation about the contracting behind the building of the Death Star. It sounds like a geek conversation that I was probably not party of back in the day. But um, I the fact that they brought it up means that they must have had some heavy ass discussions about Star Wars, and we know that Kevin Smith is a huge Star Wars fan,
Oh,
so
yeah.
Oh,
he
yeah.
had to put something in there.
Oh,
Well, I
yeah.
mean, you're going to have these types of geek conversations. I mean, we had them at Jack's all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's just how it is. I mean, shoot, we have them in this group, just different types of conversations.
Right.
But yeah, we go from that. Then we go from the scene where she's saying, which one of these movies is better? And then he's
I always love that one.
I don't care. I don't watch movies. And then she's like, well, I don't. And she takes them up again. It's like this, like both of them suck. And she says, like this is like, well, I don't appreciate your ruse, ma'am.
Yeah, no, that was always one of my favorite scenes. She's like, they tell you so much, but they never tell you if they're any good. And she's like, are either of these movies any good? I don't watch movies. And he's like, well, have you heard anything? I find it's best to stay out of other people's affairs. But I have to disagree with her. They often tell you how good they are. Now, is it a reliable assessment? Not always. But like a couple of weeks ago, we had a laugh at work because we had some donations of the DVD Blu-ray sort, and among them were a lot of the old school Godzilla films. And one of them was Godzilla versus King Kong. I think, is that the proper title? The one that's actually in the Criterion set, yeah, if you can believe it. But one of my coworkers saw this and he thought it was so hilarious. He was sharing it with everyone, and I agree. And it said, the special effects in this movie are above average. And it's like, high praise indeed. But yeah, no, you do get a lot of blurbs on movies, so I don't know what that one was thinking, but it did set up a fun joke.
Then it also goes with the guidance counselor egg thing after
Yeah.
that, where they talk about that. And then they move over to Randall selling the kid the pack of cigarettes. And this is where he does that. Apparently, Dante must have been, he was out briefly. And you just see this basically. The kid asks for cigarettes. Randall's just like, all right, gives her that with the lighter. Shows her with a cigarette in her mouth.
Don't even look at her. Now, wasn't that part of what originally got at the NC-17? Didn't they have to cut the length of that scene?
It was part of several things, but they didn't cut the length of the scene because it was no different in either cut of the film.
I thought that I heard him say it was like a few seconds shorter in the theatrical cut. But it doesn't feel different. But
he'd also said that they fought and they did not have to sacrifice anything to get the offer. So I don't know. It's hard to say. He was probably high during that time too. Actually, no, that's not true because at that time he was not smoking weed. So yeah. Because that's kind of weird. It's kind of weird because he talks about all the drug dealing, but in the early career, he did not start smoking weed for a little while.
Right. Now, what was it he was doing at that point in the afternoon? Because when they closed the store for the hockey and when they closed it for the funeral, Randall went with them.
Well, you see, it was just getting around lunchtime, so he must have just been taking a break at the time because I remember looking at this, and I was marking it down as it came up in the film.
No, they said it was around 4:00. That's when
it was around noonish at this point. And the reason why I said it was around noonish because it's right before Veronica brings him lasagna for lunch.
Right, that's what I thought. But also when the federal agent that came in later, or whatever you want to call him, whatever he was. What didn't he say? 4 o'clock? I could swear that's when
He did say 4 o'clock, and in the commentary, Kevin Smith's like, "Yeah, we really fucked up with that line."
Okay.
Because the timing was
also,
all screwed up.
I thought the chronology was off too, because the way they were talking about it, it made it sound like that might have been after they got back from the funeral. And I'm like, I swear it came earlier in the movie. So yeah, that might have just been a goof on their part.
But yeah, then they had you had some of the best, one of the best parts that most people remember about this movie is the next scene, where you have the customer in there and he is offended because they're talking about sexually messy stuff like right there in front of him. And then, of course, then like Dante appeases him, and then Randall just straight up shows him like the nude picture of
If you think that's offensive, check this out.
And then, of course, he says the line, this job would be great if it wasn't for the fucking customer.
Right. And then, of course, the other one that I always remember what that customer says is like, I don't know, sorry, can do it. You've highly offended me. It's like,
Yes.
And then that was when Randall's like, if you think that's offensive.
And then it leads directly into that little montage that most people also remember about, like the stupid customer montage.
Oh, yes.
Like, why don't I get any ice? Do you expect me to drink this coffee hot? And I'm like, actually, no, my grandmother did exactly that.
Yeah.
And the idea is that you put the ice in because you want to drink it quickly, but it's too hot to drink when you first get it.
And I do that all the time. To me, I get where he's coming from because I get putting ice in coffee.
Yeah.
But the way he presents it, it does still work as a joke.
Ooh, Navy SEALs.
Yes.
Which, by the way, was the best-selling film at the time, according to that rental office.
Right. But yeah, you have so how much are these anyway?
Yes. With a big sign right behind them.
Right. Which, oh my God, I can fully relate to that. The girl who's standing right in front of the sign that tells her what she needs to know, and she asks you I have seen that, maybe not as blatant as this girl in both the movie Stop and because they use the same 3 characters for all 3. It's not as blatant in most cases, but my God, I've experienced that many times.
I have too. I was helping out at the in the terminal down at the airport, and there was this big ass sign behind me about where, because they were doing construction, about where people were to go. I was just there as to kind of like help them along, and I had people coming up and asking me where they're supposed to go, and there's this humongous sign. It had to be as big as like a 70-inch TV behind me, telling them where they were supposed to go.
Right.
And it's like, and I'm like, really?
Can I galvanize my tires while I wait?
People do not read worth shit
No.
when they're coming and doing this stuff. And it's like, dude, it was required when you were in high school to read certain shit.
Not to mention the extraordinary randomness of a couple of the questions. I have definitely gotten really freaking random questions. Sometimes they don't annoy me most of the time. Most of the time they amuse me. But sometimes they can get frustrating.
Yeah, I've gotten this question like that guy who's talking about galvanizing his tires and just like goes, what?
Right.
But I think if any of us have worked in customer service, that particular scene, I think, when it starts with the offended customer and it ends with that little montage, I think it speaks the most to a lot of us when it comes to those things. So, to me, I thought that one was one, and they use it in they also use it in the trailer as well, the film. And then Veronica brings lasagna for lunch. Any other thoughts on that before we keep moving?
Well, I think and I guess we might be skipping ahead a little bit, but I've got to say, Silent Bob really did sum it up good.
Oh, he did.
He's like, there's a million fine-looking women in the world, but not all of them will bring you lasagna for lunch.
Yeah, I know. Well, like I say, this is one of the things that pisses me off. It's like, I was like how Dane was pissed off with Scott Pilgrim for about with knives. This is what pissed me off with Veronica. Yeah, I mean, she's a bit abrasive at times, but she loves him to death. And
Dante has a little more personality and is less of a blatant asshole than Scott Pilgrim, but they do have a lot in common.
But and of course Dante finds out. This is also when he realizes that he's calling the boss, and he finds out the boss decided he's just going to leave the state and
in Vermont.
He's like, great. Then he realizes, oh crap, I'm closing.
I guess depending on where you are, I know where Red Bank is. It's kind of like central eastern New Jersey. I'm not really sure. Vermont's a long state, so I don't know how big a difference that makes. But what would you say? That's like 2-3 hours away, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely not close enough to pop in for work.
Well, maybe the boss decided to stop in to see a screening of Man with a Plan.
Maybe. Yeah.
Well,
I believe this actually came out before that.
That could have been like, what was it? Vermont is for Lovers.
Yeah.
Could have been.
But Dante then says, screw it. I'm going to have them come over here.
Yeah.
And between the time that he calls them in, this older guy comes in and he basically gets Dante to not only let him use the employee bathroom, but to break open one of the packs of the soft toilet paper for him and give him a porno mag to enjoy while he's doing it.
Say, Sonny, you think you can maybe give me one of those magazines behind the counter there?
Which I'm just like, God damn, you are pathetic.
No, not that one, the one below it. They got bigger titties in that one. Man. Yeah, there are times when you're allowed to draw a line with customers, and I think this guy definitely
that crosses the line a little bit too much, in my opinion.
Yeah, especially because those magazines ain't cheap.
But so he's there, and they just forget about this dude. He just disappears for a while, and he reappears a little later. But then there's basically Dante's rebellion, essentially, where he closes the store so they can have a field hockey game, essentially up on the street hockey game, essentially up on the roof of the store, which is a cool scene.
Mm-hmm.
But then the rude guy, also played by Scott Mosier, goes in and basically hits their ball away so that he can make Dante open the store for him to get cigarettes.
He challenges them to a game, basically. It's like, just
tricks them, essentially.
Which, you got to admit, if it's a hockey game and you don't have a heckler on the side, it's not really a hockey game. So,
Well, and they should have brought more than one ball.
Yes, they should have.
The orange one and the orange one. And they drank up all the Gatorade.
If you're going to be playing on the roof, it's good to have a backup. Yeah.
That guy was there. What did y'all think of the hockey game?
Oh, I thought it was hilarious that they did it on top of the roof.
Yeah.
So did I. It's not like you really had space for a game either, There was hardly any room up there,
No. And then they also find out that a mutual friend of theirs had died. So then they close it again to go to the funeral, which I showed Dave.
We should also mention that Dante's friend asked if they could have free Gatorade, and he's like, if I let you have it, everyone's going to want some. He's like, oh, it won't matter. And then not long after, Randall's like, you got anything to drink? And Dante's like, get some Gatorade. Where's the Gatorade?
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
But they find out about the funeral and then they go. And I showed the deleted scene essentially,
Yeah.
which was kind of funny because Kevin Smith had written out this entire scene for the funeral, but they couldn't afford to rent out the funeral home. They couldn't do all that, so so later on, he actually goes back and has it animated in the style of the Clerks animated series.
Mhm.
So I thought it was kind of fun watching that and getting the context because you really just see them going in then running out.
It's a nice little bonus feature on the set, yeah.
Which, for those who are involved and enjoy micro-budget filmmaking, like I do on my channel, this is a good example because Clerks was pretty much the low to micro-budget level. It was lower, but it was higher budget than most micro-budget films, but it was lower budget than a lot of micro-budget films.
Mm-hmm. And it came out right around the same time. Like, I know Smith was very heavily influenced and inspired by Richard Linklater's Slacker. And I think this also came out in the wake of Robert Rodriguez El Mariachi, and I believe that was one of his influences too.
But yeah, they used guerrilla filmmaking. And if you understand, if you've ever done any work there, I mean, shoot, I did guerrilla filmmaking for Amityville Webcam. It was very brief, but we did. Where I had Jacob go in and out of the hospital for his scene. But yeah, that basically Randall flips over the casket. But it's also where Dante finds out about Caitlin getting married, and he starts obsessing over that stuff.
No, he found out about it when Randall was looking at the paper, and he's like, I think the four of you need to talk it out. Who?
Yeah, he comes to that, but it also it originally was supposed to come up in that scene.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, where he was actually, because in the scene, I can't think of the character's name, the character from Chasing Amy. Amy, well, yeah.
It was Alyssa.
Yeah, I mean, Alyssa basically told him that at the funeral.
Right.
And so that's where they decided, well, since they cut that, I guess they moved it to that where Dante was just constantly obsessing over that. But what did y'all think of the funeral thing? I mean, I think everybody here, I mean, I'm guessing that, Jacob, you've probably seen that scene because it was on Clerks X.
I watched it in preparation for the last discussion. I didn't have time really to watch it this time around. I started it and I got 2 minutes in. But I think I got up to the point where he starts talking with Alyssa. But I've seen it, yeah.
Yeah. So what'd y'all think of it?
Oh, well, it just seems like it was just a horrible situation. Like the keys landed inside the corpse's pants.
Yeah.
As they do.
I mean, it was already a little bit comical that Randall was up there talking about something that was in the corpse's belly button.
Right.
Yeah, belly button lint.
That was awkward.
Now, in their introduction to the scene, I did watch that, and Kevin Smith and Scott Mosier introduced it, and they were like, they said they originally, they had it all scripted out, but they left it out. And they honestly thought it worked better because you left it to your imagination.
Yeah.
And I will admit, in the original movie, it's basically they go into the funeral home and then it cuts to a few minutes later and they're running out. And it's like, it really does leave you going, what in the hell happened? It's like, and it's kind of great. But
and it's after they get back that Randall asks to borrow the car because he wants to go to a good rental store to rent some movies.
Yep.
And
one line before they do go that I always enjoyed was the where Dante says he has to go because this is Julie Dwyer, right? Am I remembering the character? Apparently, she was one of the, as Randall says, illustrious 12. I think that was what he said. She was one of the 12. So Dante feels like he has to pay his respects, and Randall's like, "Well, I'm going too." And Dante's like, "Why?" And he's like, you know, I'm not going to admit, I'm not going to miss what could be the social event of the season.
Yeah.
But there's also Dante's like, you hate people. And he's like, well, I love gatherings, which is interesting and weird, but.
But let's see here.
So
they do the whole thing. Also, they say like they had that whole conversation in the car about the person who was trying to die because he was trying to go down on himself and all that stuff.
Yeah, about Walter, his cousin Walter, which
yeah,
I believe in Mallrats. Didn't we find out? I guess that Brody must have also, or was it Brody that Jason Lee played? Was that the character? That I guess he must be related to Randall because he was also talking about his cousin Walter. Like the were there others where cousin Walter comes up? I feel like that's one of those repeated things, like Julie Dwyer is a repeatedly referenced character that we never actually meet. But yeah,
then they get to that, and of course, while Randall's gone, there's that scene with that guy who is the personal trainer who he finds out was sleeping with Caitlin as well, and then it comes up and he's fined for Randall selling cigarettes to a minor.
Well, also Melissa's kid sister is there too in that scene, and she ends up basically walking off with Rick. Rick was the guy
who had actually slept with Caitlin back in the day.
Yeah, while she was dating Dante.
Well, one of the many that did.
Yes,
it was all over school that she was.
Actually, that's something that they did show off in the cartoon as well, where they were just like constantly with finding her with other people when he was dating her.
Right.
But that one. Then of course we go to Randall, who is in the store, and he is just all like in like hills, like the Sound of Music, enjoying the fact that he's in this giant rental store.
Yeah, you'd think he'd never been there before or something.
Well, I mean, you think about it, and the reason why I thought it was like, sometimes it is great to be able to have some variety, and layout does make a difference.
Yeah.
Because that place looked like it smelled like cigarettes and that are stale because the time has passed, and was probably very, very claustrophobic.
You talking about RC video?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what did y'all think of the whole like trainer thing, and then Randall in the video store?
The trainer was annoying.
Huh?
Yeah.
The trainer dude was annoying.
He was like a total alpha male, like just total douche tool character. But you could also see how a nympho like Caitlin would have probably gone for him.
Oh yeah. Well, she went for most everybody apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything that moved.
Yeah, as Jay said earlier in the movie, anything that moves.
But whereas Dante's even further down, Caitlin shows up and they have a long conversation, which leads to them agreeing to go on a date later on after the store closes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so he's really happy. So when Randall comes back, he's like, you know what? All this shit happened, but I'm happy because she's there. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And you're sitting there going like,
well, he's sitting there grinning like an idiot. And he tells Randall about I got fined for selling cigarettes to a minor. You sold cigarettes to a minor? No, you did. And he's like, who? And it's like, some 4-year-old. Oh, that kid. He's like, as opposed to all the other kids you sold cigarettes to.
Well, that also leads to the scene when then, of course, Randall gives him like, Randall is left in charge of the store, which I don't know why he would leave Randall in charge of the store.
Right.
Right.
But especially after the whole cigarette incident.
He probably, again, he he had something he wanted, and for once, by God, he was going to go for it.
And of course, during that time, Randall's just he's like, well, I'm just gonna load up the porn that I got. But he ends up also that's the scene where where you were talking about, like they're talking about selling drugs out there. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not selling drugs, because he's opening up the door and they rigged like a word balloon saying "I eat cock" or something.
No, that happened, but that was Randall. Dante was the one who chewed him out for selling drugs.
But that of course showed. Well, Randall, of course, is not a fan of Jay and Silent Bob. No. So yeah,
no. Well, partly because they do shit like that to him. But yeah, and yeah, you're right. He fires up the hermaphroditic porn, which he was so proud of that, by the way. And he's sitting there watching it in full view of the customers, where and Caitlin actually walks up and looks right at it, and she's like, so you can imagine what would happen if that earlier dude who got offended had come in and seen that.
Well, unfortunately, Caitlin comes in a little bit early, so she goes to use the restroom.
Yeah.
Which does not turn out very well.
Well, because for one, there's no lights. And what did they say? It's like 5:14, some like weirdly specific time. The lights shut out every day.
Sounds like something supernatural to me.
And they said the boss was too cheap to get it fixed.
But and they have a good conversation, because you can tell that Randall really does value his friendship with Dante.
Right.
Just in his own way.
And he tells her, he's like, and Caitlin, break his heart again and I'll kill you. But, just letting her know, giving her a friendly warning.
He goes, mine first.
Yes.
Right.
But one of the scenes that is and these cats are trying to crawl over my keyboard because I had some food on me right now. Cats. Okay. There is a scene that I also, this comes up after that when Dante returns.
Salsa shark. We're gonna need a bigger boat.
I think that was the aftermath of what happened with Caitlin, right?
Nope, that was right before. She was in the bathroom at the time. He came back, and then she comes out, and they're talking like, come on, I gotta get my notes so I know the timeline is going.
But yes, the whole salsa shark thing, yeah. Cage goes into the salsa. Sharks in the salsa. Oh, shark.
No, you're right on that one. But I love that scene. That scene is one of my favorites on there. Apparently, they worked hard to make sure that Doritos label was not there, and then realized afterwards that they had this entire shelf of products facing them. It's like, oh.
Well, I noticed there was another scene. There was another scene where a character was like down on the ground right in front of one of those Entenmann's donut shelves that you see at all the gas stations and whatever. And the brand name is in full view. And I'm like, I wonder if they got any flack for that.
That's why they didn't use any cigarette brand names.
Yeah.
Because
that would have been more like, it's one thing if it's incidentally shown, but like given what they had in the script about cigarettes, they sure as hell didn't want to have any brand.
Well, that's what they were saying because of the script. But you find out, of course, that Veronica had actually thought that Dante was in the bathroom, and so she had sex with him, but it turned out that she ended up having sex with the corpse of that older guy that had checked into the bathroom earlier in the film.
Mm-hmm.
But he had apparently died.
Right. Well, all she knew was that there was a certain pointy thing that was ready to go.
Actually, it was kind of funny because it was still sticking up when they were reeling the corpse out.
That was just so. Ew.
Yeah.
See, you guys thought that we weren't discussing a horror movie.
Dante is still angry about that mainly because he's not getting to go out with her that night.
Yeah.
Which again, that shows his selfishness overall.
Right.
But okay, then you have the salsa shark.
Right.
And
And I think that was the part where he had the discussion about, where he needs to.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's where he and Randall start going at it. And
They start going at it, and then that's when Dante is like, I can't do this. I can't change.
Yeah.
I'm afraid of change, essentially. I'm afraid to make change.
Right. Yeah.
But then they separate, and he has a fairly meaningful discussion with Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah.
Which leads him to understand that, yes, Caitlin is exciting, but Veronica has been there for you. As you said, that line's like, not everybody going to make lasagna for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And meanwhile, Randall is trying to be a good friend, quote unquote, and take it upon himself to tell Veronica what he thinks Dante wants to tell her. Yeah.
Well,
Which I feel like the version in the original cut was longer with that scene. I feel like that definitely was longer.
He did take a minute to consider. It's like, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Oh, well.
Yeah, right.
Which, of course, leads to the breakup with Veronica.
Right.
And then ends up with the drag-out fight between Dante and Randall.
Oh, yeah, right. That was, yeah.
And then, of course, all this time, you have Dante blaming him for all this stuff. And Randall just lets him have it at the end of that. And it's true that most of Dante's stuff is his own doing. For his own inaction, his own laziness, his own problems. Many of them are really caused by himself. Yes, Randall is a problem, but that would have been solved if Dante actually stood up for himself and did for himself.
Right. Well, and also Randall straight up says that, like, he has no pretensions about his lot in life. He knows he's, just kind of a loser, or whatever term you want to use. And yeah, and he actually this is a rare time where he actually does give Jay a compliment. He's like, that guy Jay, he's got it right. He doesn't put on it. Well, he doesn't really say it, but basically he doesn't put on airs, It's like, yeah, some people, he takes Dante to task for thinking he's so much better than everyone else when he's really in the same situation.
But they do make up.
Yeah.
They clean the store together.
Mm-hmm.
And the original ending, well, not the original ending. We'll get to that in a minute.
Huh.
The ending that you see for theatrical cut is they're just like, close up. He lets Randall walk out in the cool way he walk in.
Well, we should mention a running joke throughout the movie that I don't think we've mentioned, and that's when Randall says, "You're closed," and throws the sign at him. When Dante opened, he made that sign using shoe polish, and there's this running joke throughout the movie. Why do I smell shoe polish?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I noticed that too. It's like, what do you do? Spread it all over him or something?
Well, he uses shoe polish to make the sign, so he probably just did it with his hands.
Right.
Yeah, he hasn't washed his hands for the whole movie.
That stuff will stick around for a while unless he had something. Like at the nursery, we had what do they call it? Is it Simple Orange or something like that? I think that was it. That is really good for getting stuff off, but like shoe polish strikes me as something that if you don't have a really good cleaning agent, you're going to smell like shoe polish for a while.
Hey, that's the same stuff that Troy the Axeman was talking about used to clean up after murder scene. And
Exactly, yeah. There you go.
But then it just kind of fades out. Now, this is the canon ending because they have a Clerks 2 and a Clerks 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But the original ending, it keeps going, and he looks up. It's just like, oh, why'd you come back? And it's actually a burglar, a person coming to rob it, shoots Dante, kills him, takes the money, and leaves.
Mm-hmm.
So, slightly different ending.
Slightly.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. And pretty freaking dark.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like it was dark, and it sounds like they had to change the ending to have a theatrical release.
Well, it didn't play well in the
Yeah, test screenings didn't enjoy it.
because when they took it out into the gosh, what was it?
There was
the film festival scene.
There was some festival they took it to where they got. I seem to remember him saying. I seem to remember him saying that like this. I don't think it was Weinstein. I think it was before him.
Mm-hmm.
But some producer told him like, "This is great, but you got to change the ending." Like it was very. There was interest, but there was also like, "What the hell?" Yeah.
So what do y'all think? Do y'all think the ending where Dante gets killed is better or worse? It is more artistic.
It is more artistic, and I guess it could go that way because Dante, at the end of the day, was a dick. But to the general audience, I guess at the time, I guess I could accept the fact that they just cleaned up shop and went home, and called it a day. But at the end of everything, in a reality situation, I could see where that type of thing, where he was killed, he only could blame himself for, not being like I think he's kind of a rug. He lets people step over him consistently, and he certainly doesn't give a shit about the store entirely because he allows shit to happen. That you normally wouldn't allow to happen, like the dude with the eggs. That was.
Well, he should have locked the door, but
yeah, that was comical. But the dude then started smashing eggs against the door, and that to me is something that he could have stopped right then and there. He could have stopped the cat from pooping in whatever the heck that it was pooping in.
That was the litter box.
Yeah, I think he was like in the middle of changing the litter box and he got distracted and left it on the counter. That was how I read
He was
it.
on the phone, yeah.
Yeah.
They actually waited to make sure that cat actually pooped in that litter box.
Right.
I remember there was one that guy just sat there and watched everything.
Right. I will say, for me, the ending as originally written, it plays like the ending of Panty and Stocking with Garter Bell, or
Taxi Driver,
or the one. Well, no. Well, maybe for you, but I've got a different point entirely. Panty and Stocking, or the one Robert Heinlein book I've read so far, The Cat Who Walks Through Walls. Both of those, the ending to me came across as just a giant FU to the audience.
Yeah.
And to me, the way Clerks originally ended, comes across that way because it's completely out of context with the movie that came before. If the movie had been more serio-comic or straight-up dramatic, an ending like that would have worked beautifully. But for a comedy, it comes off as an FU to the audience. So for me, I'm very glad they changed the ending.
Sort of I mean, as a black comedy, maybe you could see that, but
if it was really black, like if we're talking Noah Baumbach black comedy, it would have been a little more in keeping.
So yeah, I think it did better by doing that. You were able to allow them to build the world, to do all that. But I guess let's move on to production. Just as an aside, so I can finally delete this file. This was, of course, a low budget to micro budget film. This was made through several bits of financing that are very akin to. Basically, Kevin Smith was gambling hard.
Yeah.
In this, he maxed out all of his credit cards, sold his comic book collection, or the majority of it. He even reported that the thing that finally helped them sail across the finish line budget-wise was a bad storm destroyed the 2 cars that he and Jason Mewes were using, and he used the insurance money to finish off. So it just, that's so he worked his darndest to make sure that this thing came true.
Right.
And admittedly, production-wise, it's very basic, but
Right.
I think basic works. But what do y'all think?
Well, like I said, it is very rough around the edges, very raw. It's very clear that it's a low-budget film, but it works nicely. The budget famously was around $27K. According to IMDb, the opening weekend in the U.S. and Canada was 31.6. So they made back their budget in the opening weekend.
Yes.
So that's good.
Which good. Which, of course, with him maxing out those cards, I can guarantee you that he probably did not make back the budget on the first weekend because of the interest.
Right. And from what I remember, and you may remember this again because you watched some of the bonus stuff more recently, I feel like I remember him saying that he was able to clear a lot of the debts, but they didn't really actually make anything on Clerks.
Yeah.
They basically managed to get back to square one, but with a better positioning as filmmakers, which is what allowed them to do Mallrats. You know? So,
because it wasn't as hard to raise money for Mallrats as
Right.
it was to do Clerks.
Right.
And so, I mean, to me, as somebody who has worked with people who are in that sort of thing and do this sort of thing, it's really a cool story.
Yeah.
See, I mean, and yeah, there were a lot of favors called in. There was some guerrilla filmmaking used. There was a lot of graininess.
Mm-hmm.
But
do you remember him specifying? Because I know I heard him say why black and white, and I think it was related to the budget.
CCTV cameras.
What's that?
The original reason was the CCTV camera thing.
Okay.
The idea of you're filming in the store, and these stores are usually in the black and white cameras.
Okay.
And then there was a pretension angle too, but
Yeah. I felt like there was a pragmatic reason as well, but I can't remember.
Hey, guys. But what are y'all's thoughts on production?
Well,
I thought it was decent. I mean, everything looked authentic. It looked, there wasn't like any scenes that you needed any help. I think really creating.
Now, am I remembering correctly that one of the reasons they had the plot point about the jammed shutters was so they'd have an excuse that it wouldn't look like night outside behind them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then on top of that, those few times they filmed in the day, because they couldn't get the right light filters and so on, it looked like it was blazing outside. I don't know if you remember the scene where they had the woman comparing the two tapes, and you saw like Jay and Silent Bob sitting there, and Jay's making all these faces and stuff, but you can't see anything behind them. It's just like bright white.
Right. But yeah, they did film most of it at night, and there are scenes where it's obvious, but for the most part, I think they did a decent job working around that, and I wasn't really aware of that the first couple times I saw this.
Yeah, that was amazing. To me, I think that they did a great job with what little they had.
Right.
I mean, the man bet a lot. I mean, he sold something that was precious. That'd be like me selling my DVD collection.
Mm-hmm.
Now, admittedly,
you could probably make a decent film with that.
Well, I thought production
would have looked better, I'm sure.
I thought production was pretty good as far as anything. I mean, this is one of those kind of films where you use one place, one setting, and well, it was technically two settings. It was the inside of the store and the outside of the store.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, and also
in the very beginning,
the video
we were at Dante's apartment or whatnot, or but and the funeral place that wasn't even there.
Well, they filmed in front of it. And, they worked as quickly as possible because they were worried somebody was going to catch them and kick them out. But that's guerrilla filmmaking, so yeah.
But I thought that the production was pretty good. I mean, it was a real, actual store that was used consistently even after the place was the movie was filmed. So that we know of. So it was a very small place, and I guess it was what was. So to me, it did its job.
Right.
Well,
one note, real quick on that overall, just a random observation. Dante must not get either. He must have. I mean, his boss obviously was a dick because he hung him out to dry on working a shift that he wasn't supposed to. But his boss must be really, really, really chill about some things. Either that or Dante doesn't ever get a paycheck, because with the amount of damaged goods in this store during this one day, if this is even remotely typical of the shenanigans that go on with these two working, he must be docked so much pay.
See, to me, my guess is that they can't find people to man the store or something. Because, but they're in a very small town. I mean, they're in Leonardo, New Jersey.
Right. Yeah.
So they actually made the jokes like, they were actually driving towards the quick stop, not away from the quick stop. Though those Leonardo citizens that watch it, they're just going to get up and riot. They'll walk out of the theater right at this point. It's like, this is not authentic. But, Tammy, did I give you the opportunity to check with the production? All right. Well,
Tammy, we can't hear you.
What?
Production design. If you had any other thoughts you wanted to give for that.
Oh no.
I actually really liked the soundtrack of this. This had a fairly good, I mean, it was a grunge and punk rock soundtrack. I mean, you had Bad Religion, Alice in Chains, several others that were all in it. And it was a pretty nice soundtrack overall. The original
Well,
film
funny-
had a slightly
Part of the
different
budget.
yeah.
Well, the funny thing is, when they listed all the songs at the end, it was like I didn't remember hearing them all, though.
I remember the Bad Religion track, which they played right as they were leaving the funeral. But that's only because Bad Religion has such an iconic sound that I would not mistake it one way or the other. Mm-hmm. Of course, at the time that this came out, I probably would not have cared much one way or the other. I would have been probably, let's see, it was 94, so I would have been 14 or 15. So I had still not worked my first part-time job yet, because I didn't work part-time until after I started being able to drive to get back and forth. But I would have been able to if I wanted to. Yeah, that's. But the music I thought was really good. What did y'all think of the soundtrack?
Oh, I thought the soundtrack was pretty cool. I mean, I kind of wish that there was an actual CD of the soundtrack, just to listen to it or whatnot. But I mean, it was definitely some music that I probably would have listened to at the time.
I thought it was okay. I just didn't remember hearing all them songs that they listed at the end.
And I'll agree. It fits the vibe of the movie really well. There's not a lot here that I would normally single out as stuff I listen to, but I definitely think it fits. And that scene, those song that Olaf does is amusing and very, very off.
Well, then that was Clerks. I guess we will start wrapping up with favorite scenes and favorite character. So I guess we'll start with you, Tammy, since you were the one person who's never seen Clerks before today. So what are your favorite characters' favorite scene? No.
Well, my favorite character is Dante. Favorite scene. Jeez.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. Because a lot of the scenes have to do with talking, not with actually something physically happening. You know, it's, the things that are like Randall and Dante are saying back and forth to each other or whatever, So, well, I guess they get a kick out of their fight when they destroy like half the store. And then they have to go clean it up. And they actually do clean it up.
All right. So how about you, Jake?
Once upon a time, my favorite character would have easily been Randall. As I've gotten older, I've gotten a little bit less likely to enjoy assholes, and Randall is unabashedly an asshole. But I'm still kind of amused by the character. If I'm doing the Skuniverse as a whole, of the characters in this movie, Silent Bob is my favorite. do we see enough Silent Bob in this movie to really justify him being my So maybe it's a toss-up between the two, maybe. Or maybe I'll just say Lennon's Tomb because the cats are always the best character. But as far as scenes, there's a lot of moments in this movie that are absolutely classic, and it's really hard to give one that I would say is the definitive one. But the scene where Randall is on the phone with the distributor reading off all the porn titles, that always cracks me up. The scene, especially where he ends, he's like, what was the name of that movie again?
That was funny. I forgot about that.
And the scene where he's talking to the woman about how he doesn't watch movies and all that stuff. And the scene where him and Dante are comparing notes on their characters, on their customers. And again, if there's one line in the movie that this job would be great if it wasn't for the customers. I don't always agree with that, but I often do. It's definitely a line that I remember. So we'll go with that.
All right. Well, of course, obviously, my favorite character is Olaf. I mean,
obviously,
a berserker. Actually, I considered Jay and Silent Bob one character, so I will say that for this one, because they don't come across as over the top as they come off later. Mm-hmm. So they fit well. They do what they can. They're a great punchline, and they do. Jay and Silent Bob are purely there to make the pacing feel better, mm-hmm. because they're a way to break it up. If you notice, every time they do a break in the conversations, it's usually a scene with Jay or Silent Bob or both. Mm-hmm. Even in the hockey game, they're sitting there, and then during some point in the scene, somebody is like, throws down $1, then he counts out something and then throws it back up.
Right.
But, of course, my favorite scene, probably there's lots of little things that I like about it, but I go with the Star Wars thing because that's the kind of geeking out people do when they do that sort of thing. So I enjoyed that.
That's a classic too.
But
you do have to wonder what the cops and Leonardo are doing, because Jay is hardly a criminal mastermind.
They don't care. Yeah. This is a slightly depressed town in the middle of freaking New Jersey, so they just didn't care. But as far as the rest, I guess that's it. I hand it back to you, Dave.
Did Dave do his favorites?
No, I did not.
Oh, well, I am handing it back to you, Dave.
Well, my favorites are when Dante gets so offended by being the 37th person that she's technically slept with. The part where Randall actually spouts off all those titles in front of the mother with the child, and she just kind of gawks. And when Caitlin realizes that she didn't have sex with Randall in the bathroom, even though technically that could have gone more rapey than they could have planned, that was a hilarious situation where she didn't realize who was boinking her, So to me,
she
was
doing
gross,
all the
though.
boinking.
It was gross.
She was doing all the boinking herself.
Yeah, she was. She was pogo sticking the wrong person. Yeah.
Well, I guess that goes right back into actually, that goat flies into the face of that whole conversation that Dante had with Veronica at the beginning, where he's talking about, like, the whole thing where, guys have to do all the work during the experience. And it's like, well, you let me do everything.
And she tried to tell him that it was a sexist thing that he was trying to say, and he was like, no, it's just the truth. So
I think it falls right into the whole like blowjob thing and all that.
But in any case, hopefully you ladies and gentlemen have enjoyed. And my favorite character, I would have to say, even though both of them are penises, I believe that Dante, I relate more with Dante than I do Randall. Randall's just a straight up know-it-all jerk. And though I've known people exactly like him, they definitely need a special place in hell for them. But that being said, hopefully you have enjoyed our conversation. If you have not seen Clerks, go out and see it. It is a good film. For those of us who have been part of the working class, a lot of us relate. So,
plus, you need to be prepped for when we discuss the later films.
Oh yeah, we're gonna be going through the whole Clerks universe by the time we get to the end of this.
Yep. So, but definitely let us know down in the comments what you thought of a discussion, the movie, and all that jazz. But did we want to go around and tell a little bit about ourselves and what we do tonight? Did anyone have anything phenomenal to say?
Just to say, the thing that was supposed to be last week is this week. The anime that we're discussing tomorrow is Masamune's Revenge.
Is it tomorrow?
Sorry, not tomorrow. Wednesday.
Okay.
I'm sleepy. But yeah, so Wednesday, Masamune's Revenge. If you want to hear the anime anticlimax, we're definitely doing it this time. I swear. Woo! I swear.
Doing it. Wow. But anyways, well, you guys have a good discussion that way. I know I couldn't be part of it because it's probably way too expensive for me to get it, and I'm not going to pay for more than what I am just for one anime. So.
Oh yeah, but if you wanted to get it on physical, you just have to get a bootleg.
Yeah, I think probably
bootlegs,
like everybody else in this universe.
Yeah.
But in any case, like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next week. What is next week, by the way?
Shape of Water, which is Tammy's choice. We actually get into the spooky scary. So,
oh, cool. So, Shape of Water, everyone. We'll see you next week.
All right.
Here on Inside Movies Galore. Everyone say good night.
Good night.
Good night.
SeptumSin versus the world. It's that place for all the boys and girls. You'll feel real safe. You'll feel real warm. It's a cozy place to ride out the storm. SeptumSin. SeptumSin and his best boy Jake see the trends that scare us every day. Physical media is going to the side. Doctor streaming will rule the